Tonight on Grady Sportsource, we'll take a look at our game of the week between Prince Avenue and Riverside Military, which is sure to be yet another test for freshman quarterback Lucian Anderson. Also to come, a closer look at Oconee County's steady presence in the press box. He's been on the PA for 150 games and counting. Plus, how the new CPR requirements for Georgia high schools are improving player safety for programs in the Athens area. All this and more tonight on Grady Sportsource.
Good evening and welcome to Grady Sportsource. I'm your host, Anna Glenn Grove. All Athens area teams will be playing at home tonight, and it will be a busy Friday night for a young quarterback. But first, we will introduce a new segment we like to call Show Me the Word. I'm joined by analyst Josh Bishop and our associate producer, Jack Sadigan, for a new little segment this week we like to call Show Me the Word. So for this game, guys, I'm going to read you a sentence, and there's going to be a blank at the end of it. You're going to have a few seconds to write down one word, and then we're all going to reveal and show the word. Are you ready?
So, yep.
All right, first up, all Athens teams being at home this week will mean blank. All right, Jack, you're up first. Show me the word.
All right, this is my word, and what this word stands for, guys, is excessive yawning. These Athens area teams are going to absolutely dominate. It's basically undefeated or teams with only one loss against teams with no wins or teams with only one win. Fans are going to be falling asleep in their seats tonight trying to stay awake watching these games.
Yeah, my word was domination. Along with Jack, there was only one game. I think the Hebron Christian game, I think they will beat Athens Christian, but other than that, it's going to be a lot of mediocre teams coming into town to get smashed by the home teams because all these Athens teams have been hot all year, and they're walking into
It's kind of like week 2 of college football where everyone scheduled those easy opponents. It's just like that for these Athens area teams this
That's
week.
what it feels like.
Yeah, Josh, I had the same exact word. I guess great minds think
Great
alike.
minds think
Domination was also my word. I think home field advantage will do all these Athens area teams justice tonight.
I think so.
Next up, North Oconee's 5-0 start this season is blank. Josh, you can go first this time.
All right, so my word was inspiring. I know you remember this, Jack. Our first game together was a Clark Central North Oconee game 2 years ago. And we went into that game thinking it might be a game. It wasn't. It didn't look like North Oconee belonged in the same field as Clark Central. It was an absolute blowout. I think it was like 42-7 at one point, and they went 1-9 that year. And Coach Tyler Aron was so positive with us, and you and me were like, why is this guy so positive? Well, he shut us up. Next year he went 8-2, and this year he's 5-0 through the first 5 games.
My word, guys, is bumfuzzle. And this word means confusing. And to me, I think it is a little bit confusing that right now they're sitting in first in their region. But I think it's going to take a lot for them to stay strong and keep that undefeated streak going when they face Oconee County at the end.
Look, you guys are both wrong. This is unproven. It's also underwhelming. They've got 3 wins where they dominated teams by a score of 116-35. The other win, a 9-point win over Loganville, who's 0-4, a 4-point win over Elbert County, who they had to get 2 big stops from their defense against just to win that game. And this is a mediocre Elbert County team. I don't know what you guys are looking at. North Oconee, they'll win this week. They've got much tougher roads ahead.
I mean, it's still inspiring though, right?
I don't know. We'll see.
That's up to you.
I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
All right, our next sentence is going to be the brother duo of Max and Jake Johnson is blank. Guys, I really like my word for this one, so I think I'm going to go first. My word is genetic, guys. I think it just runs in the family. I'm interested to see how Jake fares once his brother Max is gone.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's really interesting. My word was patriot-ish. This really reminds me of the Brady Gronk thing where you know the ball is going to Gronk on a quick slant or just a comeback route. You send 2 guys at him, it doesn't matter. Jake Johnson, 6'5", 210 pounds. It's just unfair. I can't wait to see what he is as a senior, and it puts the fear of God in defenses, in my opinion.
My word, I'm going to pretty much agree with Josh. It's scary. Jake Johnson had a big drop in week 2 against Clark Central. It cost him a game-tying touchdown. The week after, he scores 4 touchdowns on all of Max's 4 touchdown passes against Spalding County. He has another 2 touchdowns last week against Cedar Shoals. They get better and better as this season goes. It's going to be scary for opposing defenses.
And guys, I don't think you can teach a connection like the two of them have. A connection with a brother between quarterback and receiver, you just can't beat it.
You really can't.
Can't do it.
Next sentence, Athens Academy being ranked #1 in Georgia Class A private rankings for the first time ever is blank.
Who's first?
Jack, you're going to go first on this one.
I don't know if I can fit my word in, guys, so it's going to be opportunistic. Guys, opportunistic because Eagles Landing Christian, a team that hasn't lost to a private 1A school in the regular season since 2009. They just lost to Holy Innocents last week, and this is a team that's beaten Athens Academy 2 straight state championships in a row. There are some chinks in the armor. They gave up 346 on the ground last week against Holy Innocents. This is a chance for Athens Academy to step in and have some confidence going against Elka in the playoffs.
Mine is really related to Jack's. I said it was due. 2 seasons in a row, Athens Academy 13-0 going into that championship game to get waxed by Eagles Landing Christian. I believe the scores were like 49-3, 41-17. And you know, it's due. They put in so much work going 13-0. They finally get a chance to be #1. Will it last? I think it's up to Eagles Landing.
Guys, my word is that it's epic. It probably gives them the confidence that they need and the boost they need to go into the rest of the season. So I'm interested to see how they fare the rest of the way through. Finally, we're moving into our last sentence. Oconee County's 34-0 victory over Cedar Shoals last Friday was blank. Josh, go ahead and take it.
My word was bold. You know, you look at this, Cedar Shoals has really been an improved team. They, you know, Jalen Rusher coming in, playing really well as a dual threat quarterback. Coach Rowell is kind of changing the culture there. But a 34-0 win, you know, Oconee County in the last 3 games, I believe they've outscored their opponents 112-36 or something like that. And that's since that Clark Central loss where Jake Johnson dropped that touchdown. Since that, they've been beating teams about 35-10 or 35-0.
My word is hullabaloo. And this word means to cause a commotion. Now, they came in and they kept this Cedar Shoals team scoreless. And honestly, I wasn't surprised that Oconee County won that game, but I was surprised they kept Jalen Rusher out of the end zone that whole time.
You know, my word actually makes sense, Anna Glenn. It's eye-opening. A 34-0 victory. Yeah. Oconee County, nobody thought they were as good as they are coming into the season. They blew out Morgan County, a game people thought would be close. Granted, they had a backup quarterback, but they still dominated that game. The rushing attack looks good. Jake and Max look really good. This is an Oconee County team that's better than people thought, and a Cedar Shoals team that's honestly worse than people thought. I expected this to be a really close game last week. I know you did too, Josh, when we talked about it. And it just wasn't. Cedar Shoals has something to prove this week coming out against an inferior opponent.
Well, thank you guys for your input on Show Me the Word. Still to come on Grady Sportsource, we'll take a look at how new CPR certification requirements are helping area players stay safe in the Georgia heat. And with less than 2 hours until kickoff, Josh and I will take you through our area games. We'll be right back.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Is your family in need of more quality time together?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Nature is best enjoyed together. So bring the whole family to discover all the bonding and stress-reducing benefits parks and forests have to offer. Visit discovertheforest.org and trade in phone time for family time.
Birds, squirrels, chipmunks, grass, worms, bugs, trees, rocks, and other objects in nature cannot talk. If you'd like to have a conversation while visiting nature, you will need to bring humans along. We strongly recommend starting with your family.
Na 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 na, I love you so. I love you, I love you. La 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 la, la 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 la.
We're here.
Yay!
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Grady Sportsource. High schools and athletic programs are under a microscope when it comes to the safety measures they take to protect their players. This past spring, the Georgia High School Association took another precaution in helping to keep high school athletes safer. By fall 2020, all high school coaches will be required to pass CPR training. Feature reporter Quentin Van Hoosier went out to local schools to see what they are doing to comply.
To some, it may just lead to a familiar reference from the NBC show The Office. But there's no joking around when it comes to CPR. This past April, the GHSA mandated that all coaches involved in high school athletics were required to complete CPR and AED training. The new mandate seeks to ensure that both staff and community coaches can step in if needed.
You know, you got a huge responsibility nowadays being a coach, for a high school coach in any sport, because these are precious lives, and you know, you don't want to lose anybody to not being educated or not really, from my account, being able to uphold your responsibilities. Fortunately, never been in a situation where I've had to administer it or handle it, but I feel like I, you know, would be able to respond just because of going through it.
For staff coaches at Clark Central, they have been required for years to know CPR. But this past summer, they had to bring everyone up to speed.
You know, it's one of those things, it's not like I know I have my driver's license. You know, a lot of coaches, well, I think I got that 5 years ago, I think I got that. So that's why last year we got permission from our principal here at Clark Central to use that to provide training to all the staff members who did not have up-to-date or never had received CPR AED training.
Thanks to the school's local partnership with Piedmont Athens Regional, all coaches were able to get certified for free. Ward said that because of the partnership, their certifications won't ever expire. Oconee County also required a similar rule for their coaches.
It's something that I encourage our guys to do as frequently as they can. And in our county, actually, every 2 years you have to do recertification.
Without the local partnership, though, the costs start to add up for Coach Arndt and his staff. According to the American Red Cross's website, it costs $70 to $110 per person to have a Red Cross instructor visit to teach the training. To put into perspective, North Oconee's football team alone has more than 10 coaches on staff. But to Coach Arndt, you can't put a dollar sign on a peace of mind.
They probably don't think about it as much as their parents, but the parents, I think when they know that all of our coaches have been trained and they've gone through the process, gives them a little bit more of an opportunity to trust us that we're going to take care of their kids when they're with us.
Quentin Van Hoosier, Grady Sportsource.
This past year was the first time in 3 decades that participation in high school sports decreased. Area high school coaches told Quentin that they are hoping these new precautions will help reverse that trend. I'm joined again by our analyst Josh Bishop for a look at our games in the area this week. As I mentioned earlier, all Athens area teams will be playing at home. And first up, Towns County will be visiting Athens Academy. Now, Athens Academy is 17-0 in this series. Do you think they can continue that tonight?
Yeah, I think in terms of anything being different this year, the only thing that might be different is it might be even worse for Towns County. 17-0 all time. 40-6 is the average score in this game. Athens Academy just becoming the first time as #1 in private school Georgia football. I think that it could get ugly quick. Lyneth Whitehead, 4-star running back for Athens Academy. If Josh Anderson doesn't take him out of the game, he might break a record tonight, whether that's state or Athens Academy.
Next up, Hebron Christian will be visiting Athens Christian. Now, last year Hebron Christian won this game 49-10, but the series is a little bit more even. Athens Christian leads it 5-4. Do you think Hebron Christian could even it up?
I think they will even it up. Hebron Christian a couple weeks ago lost to Holy Innocents by 1 touchdown. Holy Innocents is the only team since 2009 to have a regular season win against Eagles Landing Christian. Any team that plays with a team that beat Eagles Landing, I'm not betting against. So they're going to get that win tonight against Athens Christian for sure.
And Stevens County will be visiting Cedar Shoals. Now, we don't see this matchup quite as often. They played each other last year. But before that, they hadn't faced each other since 1995. But what does Cedar Shoals bring to the table this year, Josh?
So Cedar Shoals brings Jalen Rusher to the table. Jalen Rusher, he was a receiver last year, didn't play a ton, was not super effective in the offense. This year, they move him to quarterback. He's leading the team in pass yards, passing touchdowns, second on the team in rush yards. He's got a touchdown interception ratio of 4. Stevens County, on the other hand, has 1 sack and no interceptions. That sounds like a perfect storm for Jalen Rusher to do whatever he wants and make this a pretty easy win for Cedar Shoals at home.
And Oconee County kept Jalen Rusher scoreless last week. The duo of Max Johnson and Jake Johnson will take on Winder Barrow. Do you think they will have as an electric of a game this night?
I do. I think they're so hot right now. Ever since that loss at Clark Central, they only lost by 1 touchdown at the last play. Since then, they've got wins 35-12 versus Spalding, 34-6 against a good Morgan County team, 34-0 against a pretty good Cedar Shoals team. I think they continue business against Winder Barrow tonight and take care of business at home. Should be easy.
And last up, Walnut Grove faces North Oconee. North Oconee is looking for a 6-0 start after this game. Do you think they can remain undefeated?
I think they can remain undefeated. I mean, Walnut Grove is 0-4. They've been outscored by opponents this year, 26-134. Pretty easy game. They haven't really been tested yet. I think the main thing for North Oconee is just keep building momentum for that Oconee County game at the end of the season. I think that game is going to decide this region, and whoever wins that game is going to win the region championship.
I agree with you. Thanks, Josh. Someone who's looking to be announcing that North Oconee County game is Ben Bridges. We'll introduce you to him as well as our player in the spotlight, and we'll talk about what to watch in the game of the week after we come back from break.
Hello.
Hi. I'm from Blue Hood Stone Barns. We brought a meal for you, and I'm here to serve it to you.
Okay, great. Come in.
Zucchini carbonara, made from zucchini that was harvested earlier this morning.
Again?
Hey, Dan Barber.
You have room for a little bit more?
Come on in.
Brochettes, the sausage. So when we made that zucchini carbonara, you know, they're the end pieces of the zucchini, and they're the cores that we cut away. Not to mention zucchini flour. Usually those get thrown out. We use them to create an entire second dish. Does that,
Again?
I'm here to bring you your third course. It's the vines from your zucchini.
We'll have a little zucchini stem pasta. A different experience of zucchini. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it.
This is delicious.
What do you think we can make out of this? 40% of food in America is never eaten. Cook it, store it, share it. Visit SaveTheFood.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Laughing too hard at one of your colleagues' jokes at the office party? He's not even funny. Warning sign, those drinks are probably going to your head. Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham-bam minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high-five.
Welcome back to Grady Sportsource. The Oconee County Warriors are 4-1 this season. That's just 5 games, but one man has spent more than 150 games with this team. Kevin Keneally and Ali Santoro joined him last Friday night.
Ben Bridges has been a longtime announcer for the Oconee County High School football games. As you mentioned, Anna Glenn, he just recently reached a milestone of calling his 150th game. However, his impact in the community goes far beyond that. Ben Bridges may have been the voice of the Oconee County Warriors for the last 27 years, but his impact goes far beyond the press box, something he refers to as the Oconee way. From greeting longtime fans,
You can't do that.
He did. He did a couple of them.
Yeah. By God, I'm glad they let you in here. How
Yeah.
are you?
Oh, man, it's good.
You look good.
to welcoming opposing coaches.
And, have a funnel fry.
Oh, no, thank you.
Okay.
I've got enough for that.
I know. I'm an extra medium. Where are you at?
Come game time, Bridges makes Warrior Stadium feel like home.
There's a right way and a wrong way, and the Oconee way. And whether you come to Oconee and beat us or we beat you, you're going to get treated the same. We're going to always extend our hands. We're going to treat the visiting coaches, with respect.
Bridges has embodied the Oconee way for over 150 games, including Oconee's historic state championship in 1999.
Back then, the semifinals were held in the Dome, and the state championship games were held at the home stadium. and we got to host that night.
One of Bridges' favorite memories came just before kickoff.
The Warrior Princes came out and threw the spear at midfield, and the other team, which was called Mount Zion of Jonesboro, they kind of ran into the end zone. And Larry Munson kind of looked over at me while he was eating a big old rib and said, "I think y'all just won this game."
Despite all the busyness of announcing, Bridges still finds time to incorporate family. Bridges' son used to join him in the booth. Now that role is being filled by Bridges' granddaughter, Fiona, who he hopes to be a future Warrior cheerleader someday.
You got to have that support, and that means a lot.
His family support isn't the only thing that keeps him going. It's his passion for football.
It's a simple game. There's nowhere I'd rather be than Friday night watching high school football.
From the 22, third down.
Reporting for Grady Sports, Kevin Keneally, Ali Santora. Bridges plans on having his 14-month-old granddaughter Fiona in the booth with him tonight. And at halftime, Oconee County will be celebrating the 20th anniversary of the state championship game. That's the game that Bridges called with Larry Munson.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Josh, thanks for joining us again. When Brock Vandegrift broke his leg, many thought Prince Avenue Christian's season would go down with him. But freshman quarterback Lucian Anderson III stepped up in his first start last week. He threw for 204 yards and 4 touchdowns and finished with a near-perfect quarterback rating.
Just seeing open receivers, I guess. Like, I had to learn all the plays, and I guess I was just seeing them open. I was just seeing, like, the defense was, like, shifting out, so I just saw our guy coming wide open.
Anderson said he was nervous after being told he was going to start, but his performance against Providence Christian Academy last week is the reason he's our player in the spotlight this week. Anderson absolutely torched Providence Christian last week. Like you said, 204 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he's looking to continue his hot start against a unique and versatile defensive front in our game of the week.
In a week full of possible blowouts for the Athens area teams, one matchup did catch our eye. Prince Avenue Christian will play host to Riverside Military at Brad Akins Field. Wolverines head coach Greg Vandegrift is anticipating an unpredictable team.
Just looking at them on film, they're really athletic. They're a little bit unpredictable. We've seen them in a 3-5 defense week 1 and a 4-man front last couple of weeks. So we're not really exactly sure what they're going to come out in, so that keeps us on our toes. And then offensively, their quarterback was hurt last week, so we don't know if he's going to be back. So that's some of the unpredictability of not exactly sure what we're going to see, so we have to be ready to make adjustments quickly as the game starts.
Riverside Military head coach Nicholas Garrett said he plans to continue mixing up defensive sets against the talented Wolverine offense. Coach Vandegrift of the Wolverines pointed out that Riverside Military mixes up its defensive schemes consistently, saying he'd seen both 3- and 4-man fronts on film. I suspect that Riverside may run some 3-man fronts early in the game to get an extra defensive back in coverage against a talented but inexperienced quarterback. Eagles already have 5 interceptions on the year in just 3 games. So I would say this could be a potential trap game for Prince Avenue, having a young quarterback going against such a good secondary.
I'm going to note, though, that Prince Avenue is undefeated against Riverside in the 6 games they've played. The Wolverines have outscored the Eagles 278-77 in those games. Josh, who are you taking in this one?
I'm going to roll with the Wolverines in this one. Coach Vandegrift told us that Riverside starting quarterback Dylan Spinks was out last week with injury. Eagles were forced to move their star running back and wide receiver Cameron Dabney to quarterback. Dabney actually played like he was playing Madden last week against Johnson. He threw for 2 touchdowns, rushed for 288 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he hauled in a 51-yard pass from outside linebacker Sean Willie. Dabney could be the best player in the field tonight, but I think that the talent gap between these 2 teams is just too large for one player to overcome. Should be a Wolverines win and a closer than normal matchup for these 2 teams.
Is it safe to say tonight could be a battle of the backup quarterbacks?
I think it will be a battle of the backup quarterbacks.
Well, it's shaping up to be another packed Friday night of football in the Athens area. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @ByGradySports for all that we're doing here at Sportsource.
And for a discussion of all high school sports around the area, check out the Athens Banner Herald's weekly Best of Preps podcast. I'm Josh Bishop.
And I'm Anna Glenn Grove. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Grady Sportsource. Good night.
Grady News Source is a student production of the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Georgia, which is solely responsible for its contents. Views expressed do not represent those of the administration nor the Board of Regents at the University System of Georgia.
Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Is the seat supposed to be forward-facing or rear-facing? Did they move to a booster seat too soon? It may be too late to check when you're on the road. Fortunately, you're on the couch. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Don't think you know. Know you know.
I'm a single mother, and I was the main one working, so I never thought that I could go back to school, you know? My sister, my mother, everybody wanted to help me with my kids. I could not have gotten my diploma without my family.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. Stay